And good morning, friends. Welcome to the Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. We want to hear from you if you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, or if you just have a comment or a success story, or you'd like to contribute to the conversation, if you want to share how you're dealing with all the craziness that's going on, Corona mania, as I call it. We want to hear from you. 844-236-6010 is our number. And if you want to purchase longevity products, you can call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. You can also head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can purchase all your favorite longevity products off the website. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team. If you want to start a longevity business, work out of your home, work for yourself, make as little or as much money as you like, and, of course, be your own boss. That's the best thing about having your own business is you're your own boss. You wake up in the morning and determine if you want to go to work, and you go to bed at night and decide if you want to stay up late before you go to bed and stay up late and make some money. It's just a cool way to live your life, to be independent, not to have a boss, or to at least be your own boss. If you're interested, for a one-time $30 fee, you can be in business for yourself. If you've used the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and it's changed your life like it has so many other folks, and now you want to pay it forward and help spread the word about how important a nutritional supplement program can be, how life-changing it can be, and make some money at the same time, this is a business opportunity that you want to at least take a look at. Call 866-735-2470 for more info, or click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. And then don't forget to take a look at our True Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com. All you got to do is look at our reviews, our over 500 five-star reviews at truthreviewed.com, truthreviewed.com. That's all you need to say. There's nothing I can say, there's nothing I can tell you that is going to be more impactful or more important than what you read at truthreviewed.com. Over 500 five-star reviews about our Truth Treatments. TruthReview.com, and all our Truth Treatments are available at TruthTreatments.com. TruthTreatments.com. All right, we got Julie Gatza coming up. Dr. Julie Gatza, D.C., is going to talk to us about food. Food is so underappreciated and underrated as a source of health, as an important source of cause of disease. It's so ironic to me, or so, not ironic, but it's just so astounding to me how we all want to wear masks and social distance and looking for a vaccine and hydroxychloroquine and all kinds of medical strategies for dealing with viruses and microbes and infections. But we still think, and present company excluded, of course, I'm talking about as a culture, the United States and around the world, as a culture, we still think it's okay to eat whatever we want to eat. It's not okay to eat whatever we want to eat. Let's be clear about that. It's not okay to eat whatever you want to eat. You have to use your brain to override you have to use your higher brain to override your lower brain. In fact, that's what this whole crisis is about to me. This whole crisis that we're dealing with today, this whole political crisis that we're dealing with, and make no mistake about it, it's a political crisis, it's a social crisis, it's a cultural crisis, much more than it is a health crisis. It's about learning to leverage and access your higher brain. You've got a higher brain and a lower brain, okay? That's putting it simplistically, because probably the brain is divided into multiple levels or multiple areas. You've got basics are the triune brain, they call it, the reptile brain, the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, and then the higher brain, the human brain, if you will, the prefrontal cortex. And what this whole thing is about, to me, it's about learning to leverage your higher power, learning to leverage your higher brain, learning to think critically, number one. And I've been talking about that from the beginning. I've been talking about learning to be a critical thinker since I first discovered how important it was to critically think in my childhood. Critical thinking is key to figuring out how to get through this crisis. That's number one. But then you want to learn how to leverage your really higher power. That is your spiritual power. We have access to a realm of I call it spirituality, but you can call it anything you want, but it's a place where intuition resides. It's a place where insight resides. Insight and intuition will get us through this crisis. And it is a crisis, not a health crisis, but a political and social crisis where our culture is being restructured. The world is going to be a very different place in 2025. This is the beginning, folks. In 2025, we're going to have a cashless society. You're going to be paying for things with your face and with your eyes. You're going to be plugged into AI. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard of something called a singularity. Probably many of you have. Singularity is a period in history, I guess you'd say, where AI controls everything. And guess what? That's what this is about. This is about the singularity. This is about a technological a change, a quantum leap in how we relate to technology and how technology relates to us. As it stands right now, we are so embedded in technology, we can't live without it, for the most part. For most of us, we can't live without it. And this whole crisis that we're dealing with was constructed through algorithms and software and computer modeling. Think about it. It all began with computer modeling. Even the so-called virus itself may have been constructed through computers. At least some people believe that it's a constructed virus. And even if you don't believe it was intentionally constructed, yesterday we talked about how viruses are produced by 5G waves, by various electromagnetic waves. The electromagnetic waves can actually induce the construction of viruses. Any way you look at it, this is a technological change that we are all going to be going through. And by the year 2025, this world is going to look like a completely different place. And the way we can ride through it, the way we can deal with it, the way we can address it is to understand our nature as spiritual beings, as higher beings. Plug into your spiritual nature. You're going to be plugged into technology. That's inevitable. Unless you live off the grid somewhere, it's going to be impossible to get a job. It's going to be impossible to buy anything. It's going to be impossible to fly. It's going to be impossible to procure food unless you're plugged in. So we're going to be plugged in. But what we can also do is we can plug in spiritually, and we should. Whatever that is for you. Some kind of higher power. If it's Christianity, plug into Jesus. If it's Judaism, plug into whatever Jews plug into. Personally, I just plug into some amorphous, unidentified higher power, which I can sense through my intuition and insight. And that's how you're going to do it. Through intuition and insight, we can figure out who we really are, where we really come from. We can figure out our nature as higher power. We have a nature as higher power, and that's what you have to plug into if you're going to get through all of this stuff. Yeah, there's things you can do physically, absolutely. Nutritional supplementation is more important now than ever. You have to have a strong body. Do not eat the corporate swill. Drive by, not drive through. Do not drive through Taco Bell. Do not drive through McDonald's. If you're driving through Taco Bell and McDonald's and then you're complaining about the New World Order, you're missing the point. The New World Order is here to get us back to ourselves, to understand our power as human beings and as spiritual beings as well. All right, I'm going to continue when we come back from our break. We got Julie Gassa coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll take your phone calls next segment, 844-236-6010. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Julie Gassa coming up at the bottom of the hour. Her topic, delicious but deadly, the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. The whole idea of snacking is problematic. We shouldn't need to snack if we eat correctly. And if you are going to snack, you want to be snacking on something that is not a processed food, and it's not something that's going to make you more tired or make you more brain dead than if you didn't eat. When we don't eat food, our body goes into a mode of processing chemistry, a biochemical mode that is actually really good for you. When you don't eat, your body goes into a survival mode, a mode of biochemical processing that allows you to go out and hunt and go out and forage. It gives you more energy. It makes you think more clearly. After you eat, brain chemicals are secreted that make you drowsy, make you tired. Orexin, for example, if you've heard it, a lot of drug companies are now working on using Orexin as an anti-narcolepsy substance. In any case, when we don't eat food, we have more energy. There are countries where there are places where the whole country shuts down after lunch because people need a nap. Have you noticed this? After you eat lunch, I hate when my employees eat lunch because I know within half an hour after eating lunch, they're going to be tired, they're going to be drowsy, they're going to be making more mistakes. The less you eat, the longer you live. I remember about 10 or 15 years ago, they used to tell people you want to graze. The fashionable nutritional advice was to graze all day, to snack all day. That is the dumbest thing you can do. You want to go ketogenic, you want to generate ketones, well, take time off between meals. Make the space between your meals long. Hours and hours and hours between meals will allow your body to go into this ketogenic mode, this weight loss mode, a muscle building mode, a mode where your brain functions more efficiently. Anyway, Julie Gatz is going to talk to us about the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. We don't understand food. That's a big problem. Now, when I say we don't understand food, I'm not just talking about us as individuals. Scientists don't even understand food. I was just reading an article here about food dark matter. Where the heck is this article? It's from the journal New Scientist. Hidden nutrition. What we don't know about food makes up 99% of our food. We know next to nothing about the compounds in our food. There is a really cool website, foodb.ca. /compounds. The website is foodb, FOODB.ca, and there's a list of some 70,000 different compounds that are in foods. I'm talking about blueberries and raisins and wine and grapes and elderberry and just normal foods. Or natural foods, not processed foods, beans and corn and wheat and grain and apples. There are all kinds of chemicals in apples and apricots and in vegetables and legumes and nuts that we don't even know what's in them. Every day we find new compounds in foods, things like butene and luteolinidin and fluoretin. Have you heard of these things? And delphinidin. Delphinidin here, this is a compound that's in green beans. Delphinidin-3 ferruloyl glucoside. Delphinidin-3 ferruloyl glucoside. Yes, that's a compound that's in beans. The funny thing is next year or 2 years from now or 3 years from now or next month, there's going to be some company that says, we have a supplement that has Delphinidin-3 ferruloyl glucoside in it because we found that this substance is good for your heart. That's how you ever notice how nutritional supplement companies will come out with this new compound that you never heard of that they found is good for your heart or it's good for your liver or it's good for something. Well, it turns out all of these compounds are generically known as phytonutrients. They all have medicinal properties. They all have medicinal properties. That's why food is medicine. Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food. Food is medicine because it contains these powerful compounds in very, very trace amounts, so we don't know about them, or we don't notice them, I should say. But they're very powerful. They're just in the foods in trace amounts. We don't really know everything that's in a blueberry. We don't know everything that's in a green bean, which is to say we got to respect our food. Even green beans, even onions, even grapes. We have to respect what we eat. That's a huge problem in our culture. Instead of worrying and gnashing our teeth about viruses and about infections, we should be thinking about what the heck we're putting in our mouths and what's getting into our blood. This is so cool because what it means is we have way more power over how our bodies show up than we know. Also from New Scientist magazine, Alzheimer's disease may start in the gut and spread to the brain. Have you heard that before? I've been saying it for years. Alzheimer's disease starts in the gut. Parkinson's disease starts in the gut. The gut meaning the intestine, by the way. All of these health challenges are digestive health challenges. I would present that almost everything, probably everything in the way of chronic long-term degenerative disease starts off in the gut. That's what the triangle of disease is about. I should say starts off in the gut and starts off with food. Why is that important? Because we control it to a large extent. Now there's, sometimes you get caught in a situation where you have to eat what's there if you're super, super hungry. And make no mistake about it, you're rarely super, super hungry. But if you are, you have to eat what's there. I understand that. But if you're sick, if you're dealing with dementia, if you're dealing with a health challenge, dealing with an autoimmune disease, do not underestimate the power and the importance of what you ingest through your mouth. And it's just common sense. Because if all disease is cell disease and all cell disease is blood disease, how does the blood get dirty? How does the blood get toxic? How does the blood induce disease? Unless you're sticking things in through your skin, the only way is going to be through what we eat. That's not to scold anybody. That's not to be proselytizing. That's not to be picking on anybody for their food choices, and we should never do that, by the way. Never pick on anybody for their food choices. That is just to say that we have power over how our bodies show up at the level of food. And nutritional supplementation, by the way, can be a really, really important strategy for helping you control what you eat. So many times we eat because we're nutritionally deficient. That's why people lose weight when they get on a nutritional supplement program. That's why people find that they're not eating as much when they start the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Oh yeah, exercise. Guess what? Exercise is another great appetite suppressant. The sun, another great appetite suppressant. What are people doing when they're in lockdown and they're stuck in their house? They're eating more. How fascinating is it that the only place you could get food after 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or when you're in lockdown, when everything was locked down, was McDonald's or fast food? We treat our digestive tract, when we treat the food we eat with such disrespect that it cannot help but lead to the kind of health challenges that we're dealing with in this culture. And by the way, that includes infections and viruses. All right. We got Julie Gatza coming up at the bottom of the hour. Real quick here, high-dose intravenous magnesium for severe asthma. This is an article that appeared in the journal Pediatric Critical Care. 38 children with severe asthma that was not associated with an infection and who did not improve when they were given ordinary therapy were dosed with high-dose intravenous magnesium. And guess what? Most in this study, which was 25 to 50 milligrams per kilogram, which is a pretty high dose, they found that symptoms of asthma, severe asthma in kids, was alleviated. Magnesium is a vasodilator. Magnesium is a relaxing mineral. That's why people take magnesium when they go to sleep. If you have insomnia, you might want to consider a little magnesium before you go to bed. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We've got Julie Gatza coming up in our next segment. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben, and we're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on the archive page at benfuchsarchives.com, also brightsideben.com. And if you want to purchase longevity products, you can go to brightsideben.com or check out my blog, pharmacistben.com, and our videos at criticalhealthnews.com. I got lots of videos up, as well as news stories and blog posts and lots of good health information on all our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. And don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products. Never any preservatives, fragrances, fillers, waxes, emulsifiers, water, vegetable oil, silicone, nothing your skin doesn't need or doesn't want in any of our Truth Skin Health products. All formulated in my compounding pharmacy for healing wounds and treating skin health issues. As it turns out, when you treat diseased skin and wounded skin, you beautify the skin as well, and our True Skin Health products are all prescription compounded products repurposed for health and beauty. You can check them all out at truthtreatments.com, and don't forget to take a look at our reviews. Over 500 5-star reviews at truthreview.com, truthreview.com. Okay, I am excited to have our guest on. Dr. Julie Gatza has been on previously, and she always has something interesting to say. Today we're going to talk about the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. Please welcome to the bright side, Dr. Julie Gatza. What's up, Dr. Julie?
Hi, nice to be on your show again, Ben.
Yes, nice to talk to you, and I love the topic of snacks. I don't know if you heard us at the beginning of the program. We were talking about how we really don't respect food like we should, and we really don't know food as we should. So I find your topic very relevant, especially today when food is being marginalized or even ignored as a powerful way to protect ourselves from infections. Don't you think we should be talking more about what we eat and about our food choices or our poor food choices when it comes to building immunity and protecting ourselves from infection?
Well, I mean, if you're trying to get to the source of why you're not doing well, whether your immune system is depleted or you're battling some disease or you have a familial, weakness in your family, it all stems from how much nutrition are you getting in to let that body part work the most efficiently it can.
And nutrition and anti-nutrition as well. How much anti-nutrition you're getting, right? You're everything. You see patients, correct? You're working with patients?
Yes.
As a DC?
Yes.
So how much of what you see in terms of things that don't seem like they would be related to food, like spinal issues or inflammatory issues or neuropathies and such, how much of that do you think is related to how people eat?
99%.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, and so how...
If you've had a slip and fall, okay, that's a slip and fall. You've actually mechanically injured the body. But underlying that is often what the heck people are eating or not eating and how they're absorbing or not absorbing. So for 29 years, if you fix the digestion and the absorption and the actual what they're putting in, you actually win the game with them.
Do you think that sounds too easy for people or too simplistic? Like it does, they want something more complex, a more complex cause for their illness or more complex solution for whatever they're dealing with. Do you think that sounds easy?
I'm giggling. I'm giggling because my husband and I have said that for years. The fact is, he's a chiropractor as well. It's just so simple. I wish it was more complicated. People might believe us.
Yeah. What would you say a percentage of people who are resistant to hearing they got to eat differently or they can't have the fast food and their neuropathy or their back pain or whatever it is may be related to something, a problem digesting or a food allergy or poor food choices? How do people receive that information?
Well, so once again, 99% don't believe me, don't want to do it. However, I realize I am the best salesperson, and what I sell is health. I sell logical. I sell this makes sense. And if I get somebody to follow it for a very short period of time, they see enough change that they actually go, wow, I can't believe it. You are absolutely correct. It's just getting them to agree and start because there's never a question on is it going to work.
Okay, so your topic is unhealthiest snacks. Before you get into the specifics of unhealthiest snacks, let's talk about snacking in general. First of all, why do we need to snack? I mean, our caveman ancestors, I don't believe, snacked. And is it? Do you think maybe that we'd be healthier if we went longer periods between meals and didn't snack?
Yes. For the latter question, yes. I think it's better if we don't snack in between. In general, it depends on what's going on with your actual physical situation. But I think the biggest thing that's happening is people aren't eating enough protein in general with each meal. They're skipping meals. They're elevating their blood sugar with coffees and sugars and pastries, and then it comes crashing down, so they need another cup of coffee. They need a snack in between. They can't quite make it up for the rest of the day, and this is the pattern that's starting to really affect their health. So, first and foremost, it's protein at every meal and, knock out your cereals and your, croissants and your bagels and you'll start to see that you're less hungry, you're more satisfied, you lose weight, you have more energy, and it's simply because you're actually eating real food.
How much of snacking is psychological? Boredom, depression, it's easy, procrastination from doing other things?
I think it goes back to however you were raised, and a tremendous amount of it is that. And, whatever the things you grew up with and were comfort or, something your taste buds really like, that's what you gravitate towards. Whether it's good or bad, sometimes you just forget the fact that, that was little kid food as a treat as compared to, adult that needs to actually have a productive, healthy body. It shouldn't be surviving on weird food like that.
The biggest companies in the world are snack food companies?
Especially here in America. They've got us dialed in so great.
Isn't that interesting?
Marketers.
They got us dialed in. They know how our brain works way better than we know how our brain works.
That's right. That old adage of you can't just eat just one. Well,
yeah, right.
There's chemicals in that also cause you to never want one. So, they've got us pegged really well.
Have you heard of this book, Sugar, Salt, and Fat, by any chance? It came out a few years ago.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
You got to read it. It's an awesome book, Sugar, Salt, and Fat. He talks about how companies know that combinations of sugar, salt, and fat are absolutely irresistible. He doesn't talk about the chemicals you're mentioning. Have you heard of the Mennel Institute in Philadelphia or outside Philadelphia? Yeah. They study how the brain. And by the way, it's interesting because the drug companies fund it as well as the food companies. Because isn't that interesting? They're both interested in hacking into the brain for their own nefarious sales purposes and figuring out what kind of chemicals we need so that we can only eat just one. And the Mennel Institute, for the listeners if they want to look it up. All right, so your topic is the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. So I want to get into that. I also want to get into some of the healthier snacks. So why don't you give us a little bit before we only have about a minute here, but tell us how you determine what makes a healthy snack or unhealthy snack, and then we'll get into some of the specifics.
Well, we basically call it food or unfood. If you put a piece of fish up, it has protein, enzymes, vitamins, and all the different things that the body would use to actually continue to have health. You can put that up against a box of French fries and any of these things that I've mentioned. It has unhealthy fats, no enzymes, no vitamins, no real nutrition, no protein. So what it does is it takes more nutrition to break it down, and basically it's a negative
Isn't that interesting?
for you because you actually have to use your storage to actually handle the toxic load of that food. So we call it unfood.
Yeah, we're encouraged to believe that anything you eat is going to somehow support your body's ability to work. Say whatever you eat, but the opposite's true. If you eat the wrong food, you actually suppress your body's ability to do work because of this nutrient depletion issue.
Yep, totally true.
Yes. All right. So when we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some specifics on the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. But I don't want to leave it there. I also want to talk about some healthy ways that you can snack if you feel like you must. We got Julie Gatza on, Dr. Julie Gatza. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Side, talking to Dr. Julie Gatza about the unhealthiest snacks on the planet. Dr. Gatza, I want to get into some of these specifically, but before we do, you mentioned something about protein. How do you determine what a good protein is, and is there a certain amount of protein that you recommend for people to use at every meal?
You know, it depends on your weight, and there is a formula which I don't have right off the top of my head, but I think one of the best proteins that people can eat is eggs and fish. And it's easily assimilated. It's a perfect food. Then, you know, all the chicken, the turkey, and any of the red meats, if you can digest the red meat, most people's digestion isn't working properly to be able to break down a complicated protein like red meat. And that's one of the things that I've done for years is given a high-quality digestive enzyme because it aids you in breaking down what you should be able to break down yourself, but because of our lifestyles and our food sources, we aren't making those the right way. I use one called Absorbade, and it has all the enzymes to break down the protein, the fats, the carbohydrates in your meals.
Yeah, I like Absorbate. I've heard of that one. Why do you say fish is? Why do you think fish is an easier? I personally suggest people eat a lot of fish, and I eat a lot of fish. A couple things about fish, though. Why do you think it's easier to digest protein? And are you concerned about the toxicity of the oceans and then farmed fish? All the problems associated with that.
Yes, and yes, and yes. But, you know, we live here in America, and we live on this planet. There's not a possible lot we can do unless we want to have a whole, 5-hour radio station on that, radio show on that. So the fact is, switch it out. Try not to do the farmed. It's not the best for you. It's wild is always better, but we don't always have a choice. So, with all the other things that are out there, you're better to pick that in general. Eggs are one of the best sources of protein, despite the bad rap they got years ago. It's a perfect food. It's assimilated. You get so much nutrition from it, and the protein is the most important thing to build the body and reestablish normal.
It's pretty much a perfect food. And I talk about the importance of eggs all the time. How do you respond to people? Oh, what about cholesterol in eggs?
Well, cholesterol is a high ingredient in an egg, but our liver is able to reproduce 80% of the cholesterol in our body. We produce 80%. So if you actually get on a better diet and get your metabolism working better, you get your liver more efficient. And I've seen patients that had tremendously high cholesterol, and going on my program, which is eggs and vegetables and proteins, they brought it down hundreds of points within a month's time simply because the liver was working better from the better diet and taking enzymes and breaking down the food.
That's great. Not only that, but the liver makes less cholesterol when you eat cholesterol. So in a way, cholesterol or eggs are like a natural statin drug.
It's right. And it's a little complicated for people to understand because they assume an egg is a deadly food, and it's the best one you can put in.
Right. I can't think of a more nutritionally dense food than an egg. It's almost like a perfect food.
It is, and it's its own carrying case, and you can eat it in many forms.
Its own carrying case. How cute is that? It's got its own little beautiful carrying case. How great is God? I love that. All right. So unhealthy. I want to save some time for the healthy snacks, but tell us about this list of unhealthy snacks. How you came up with this? Because you came up with 10, but you could have come up with 1,000. How did you pick these 10? I love the vanilla cream chocolate wafer sandwich cookies. By the way, that's great.
I basically looked on the internet to find them because I wanted to know what it was that people were eating. It's not necessarily in my wheelhouse here at my house, but the fact is, it's just things that you would never consider. The peanut butter crackers that we grew up with in kids in the vending machine.
They're not healthy?
They look all right. No, they're pretty scary. They have a lot of weird things in them, and, that orange color isn't from a natural dye.
You mean orange is not a good color for? I didn't realize that. Okay. All right, how about so I love your number one. It's my number one too. Tell us about your number one of the top 10 unhealthiest snacks.
I mean, they were all sort of in a list, but potato chips are a fooler. They are. There's not much value to a potato in the first place. But now you're frying it, and salting it, and putting all sorts of other weird oils into it. And the fact is, it's simply an unfood. It goes in, your body says, "All right, great, thank you, we're full. Our taste buds are satisfied." But there's literally no nutrients that you're getting from them, and yet they fill a nice void when you're waiting for dinner or you're hungry in between meals. And by that point, you aren't going to eat as much of a good meal because you go less hungry, and you're satisfied with fat and the sugars and whatever else is in it that keep you from thinking that you really need good food.
Now, there's one food on your list on your unhealthy list here that's kind of shocking, and at least I think some people find it shocking, and that's granola bars. What the heck's wrong with the granola bar? It's granola.
Well, I have seen so many people eat granola bars over the years and protein bars and, think that's what they should be eating to, bypass a meal, or, boy, they're having something snacky. And, granola itself isn't as healthy as it used to be. It's all processed, it's weird, it's changed, it's a filler, and then whatever else they put into it that makes it easy for your kids to say yes to having that as a snack or yourself. There's just a whole bunch of stuff in all the different types that I'm just not a fan, because it's a placeholder rather than something that actually is nutritious, that your body says, wow, we're going to do better from this. So, I'm sure there's companies that make decent things, but, the best that I would say is, buy whole cut steel raw oats, cook them properly, and make your own granola. And now you've got something that's actually of value that you got to sugar yourself, possibly with honey or some, better sugar or less cane sugar. And it's a difference on how you feel from eating something that you baked and homemade in a granola rather than buying a packaged something that has weird ingredients that we don't even understand.
Have you noticed that in the health food stores that like 80% of the stuff they sell you in the health food stores, the non-produce stuff, is protein bars and boxed and packaged and processed, generally processed stuff?
Yes, and just because it's in the health food store, people automatically think, this is healthier than getting it from the regular grocery store. And, it's all marketing. It's a brilliant game out there to market to people and play on the ignorance. And, not everyone wants to do the research and seeing the results this way. But, we're push-button mechanisms around here that if it's in the health food store, there's a commercial on it, or it's in a good magazine, or some doctor backed it, then it's supposed to be good for us. And it's, we're a bit of the animals led to slaughter here on this one.
It's kind of mean-spirited in a way, sort of anti-humanity. I got a beef with you on one of these. One of these that you picked as an unhealthy snack is an approved government snack and that meets your needs for fruits and vegetables, and that's canned fruit cocktail. You telling me that's a bad one? I'm shocked.
By the time that you picked that fruit, you peeled the fruit, you boiled the fruit, you canned the fruit. It's been sitting in the truck for anywhere from 2 months to 2 years, and then it lands upon your shelving, which you've also left in there. There is no food value left. It's simply just something in sugar that tastes good that looks like it should be healthy.
All right, we took a lot of time talking about this, the unhealthy snacks, and we're running out of time here. But give us a few of your favorites, easy snacking foods that people can healthy snacks that people can feel good about that are going to be good for their body, pro-nutrition.
Well, one that lunch meat is not necessarily what you want to live off of, but if you get the healthier lunch meat and you make roll-ups with them, heck, it's a protein source, a turkey roll-up. You could put a tomato in it, some lettuce, put a toothpick in it, roll it up, and you've got a perfect little snack for yourself, your kids. You can do that with the boiled ham and the good turkey. You can do things like almond butter on a piece of celery, and it's satisfying. Carrots and hummus would be a decent snack. Hard-boiled eggs at any level, and however you want to,
hummus. Let me talk about hummus real quick. How can you make your own hummus? And what is hummus exactly, by the way?
Hummus is a chickpea, and it has different oil and garlic and lemon in it, and sometimes tahini, and it's a nice source of protein. you don't want to have it as your every meal, but it's a nice, different source of protein. A lot of vegans, vegetarians will eat, things from lentils and beans, and it's processed, and, with the ability to break it down with the enzymes that we should be making, you can actually assimilate a lot of nutrition from these different sources of protein from, beans and things like that as well.
What's your take on yogurt and the best kind?
When it comes to dairy products, I'm not a huge fan of only consuming dairy. So with yogurt, I would say the best if you can try to get a natural one, non-sweetened, and then you add your own sweeteners to it, whether you want to use some honey or some fresh fruit or some maple syrup. It's actually a decent source of protein, but, I usually will buy the organic just because in eggs and chicken and dairy products, those are things that I feel that they really pack in a lot of gunk if they're not, organic or free range or whatever it may be that's as natural as you can get it.
Hey, Dr. Gatza, that was awesome. We're out of time. Real quick, your website. We only have about 10 seconds here.
It's naturesources.com, and you can find out about the Absorbaid, Nature's Sources. And you can call the 1-800.
Okay, cool.
Yep,
Absorbaid is the enzyme. I'm sorry, give the phone. We're out of time, Dr. Gatza. Thanks so much for being on the bright side. That's it for now. We'll talk to you later, folks. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. Bye for now.